If you have runner's knee, you've probably Googled and YouTubed a lot of different stuff, but congratulations on getting here because I'm going to show you what's wrong with some of the information that you have received. Now, first thing we're going to look at is glute exercises. Now, you've probably been made aware that getting some strength around your hip is going to be a good thing. But the problem is most of you are just getting good at an exercise. We want to make sure our glute is strong in the position that it should be when we're running. Because we can certainly get our glutes strong in an exercise, it doesn't mean that it transfers into function. So I think this is also just one of the best glute exercises anyway. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come into a position where I can hold on to something to stabilize. The reason being, I'm going to be on one leg here and I want myself falling back. Okay, this also triggers that neural capacity of the glute to kind of catch us. It's one of the things that the glute does when we're learning to walk. You know, you see a baby pull itself up and fall. That's trying to trigger that connection of that glute neurally. So we're going to kind of hold onto here and we're going to fall back. It can be a doorway, it can be anything. I just like this height, so a table is good as well. Then what we're going to do, I'm going to lift my right leg here. And I'm lifting my leg in line with where it was at a kind of a shoulder width stance. And I'm falling back, and then I'm going to rotate my right hip to face my left foot. Now, some of you will notice when you do that, when I rotate this hip down, the big toe may come off the ground. So part of what we're going to train here is our connection between our glute and our big toe, because one of the jobs of the glute is to decelerate pronation on contact with that big toe. And I could talk about this exercise a lot. There's a lot we could explore theoretically here, but I just want to show you what to do. So if I lift this right leg and I rotate that hip to the ground, hopefully you start to feel your glute. If you don't, it's not so important what the exercise looks like, it's what you feel, okay? So if you have a problem with that glute activation, you might have to play with this a little bit. Leaning back, rotate this right hip towards that left foot, and then I'm going to drive the big toe as hard as I can into the ground. You should feel more glute firing here. So I'm here, rotating that hip down, pushing this big toe as hard as I can into the ground. Now you could look to just do holds around 10-15 seconds, or we could also elicit a little bit of fatigue here. And I'm going to do that by just pulsing here. I'm also driving my big toe into the ground. I'm just doing some little pulses, and you should start to find that you start to get a bit of fatigue around that glute. So this is a great one to do as a pre-activation before running, or just when you're around the house or whatever, but you do want to walk around after doing it because we are trying to train that neural connection. So ditch your clamshells and all those things and let's work the glute in the position that it should be firing in when you run. The next thing you're doing wrong with your runner's knee exercises is using this thing and really using a foam roller at all. When I was looking to do this video, I had a look at what was around a runner's knee, and there are a lot of videos looking at foam rolling, and particularly foam rolling your ITB, foam rolling the side of your leg. And that probably isn't really a great idea for a few reasons. One is that is a connective tissue that is meant to be taut. It is there for a reason, and it's not tissue that responds to being rolled. As a matter of fact, there's some research that suggests that pushing your ITB, which is a tissue between your hip and your knee here, may actually push into some of these quad muscles and cause maybe some fibers to adhere to the ITB itself. So we kind of also need to wonder, what is foam rolling even doing? Essentially, it's really just warming up tissue. It's known as a viscoelastic response. It's just allowing tissue to become more pliable. It's not really creating any change. So yes, we can see some issues around that ITB, TFL tightness, but really we want to address the TFL, which is the top muscle which does become the ITB, and we're going to do that with a ball. So we're going to find our hip bone here, and what we're going to do is a ball is going to go anywhere around this region. For me, it's the top of my pocket. And I'm going to come onto the ball here, and I'm opening my left knee up a little bit so I can kind of lie sideways on the ball. And you're just going to find that spot, and if you have some issues around here, then you're going to know when you hit that spot because it's not going to feel very pleasant. So I'll show you what that looks like on the other side. So I've got that ball in that spot there, and you see my knees open so I can get that sideways pressure. And all you have to do here is really hang on here for anywhere around a few minutes. You could look to do some side to side motion on the ball, but we're looking to address the top of this ITB, which is this muscle here, which is something that can respond to this sort of technique rather than looking at the ITB itself. Certainly addressing some tightness around the quads could help with your runner's knee, but we should also be looking to get our quads strong as well, and also ensuring that our stretching techniques are targeting the quads where we need to. So, foam rolling is, as I mentioned, out here. We don't want to just foam roll. We want to look at some things that are going to create some change. So if I come into this kneeling lunge here, first mistake people make when they come into a lunge stretch is just doing this. Okay? So we may start to get some stretch through the belly of the muscle here, but we want to target the insertion of the muscle and we want to target the tendon. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is I'm going to tuck my pelvis under here. So this is a posterior tilt of the pelvis. And you notice I haven't lunged forward, just rotating up here. And if you do that, you should start to feel a load through the top of your quad here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my thigh vertical. I'm going to lean back a little bit, weight coming into the top of this foot. Now, not only do you get a strong stretch, we're also strengthening this muscle. This is an eccentric load or isometric load here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to lengthen the muscle and then we're going to strengthen it at its end range here. So I'm leaning back, chest is up, pushing the top of the foot as hard as I can into the ground. I'm going to look to do this for 3 times for 10 seconds. So each time I'll have a little rest. You might come through and get some movement in your hip. This is also good for just moving that tissue around. We're going to lean back, push down hard for 10 seconds. If you want even more load through the whole muscle, we could then come back and I'm going to think about dragging my front heel and my rear knee towards each other without moving, and now you feel this whole muscle fire up. So you can't really see it, but it is firing up very hard for me here. And with this sort of technique, not only do I get more intensity into my stretching, which gives me more results from it, I also get the muscle to be strong through its full range of motion. So there's 3 ideas that you could start implementing to your runner's knee rehab. These are ideas taken from my Stretch Yourself Strong system. If you'd like to know any more about that, you can check the link, buy the book, join the programs. Please like, share, subscribe. If this helped, comment below. If you have any questions, do so. Look forward to seeing you in the next one.